All right, so in this video, I want to try and show you how to measure an angle using a protractor, and then we'll talk about how to draw an angle using a protractor. So first, you need to know your protractor and understand the parts. So you want to be able to identify where your vertex point is. So on this protractor, the vertex point is this crosshairs here. On some, it's just a little line, and on some, it's a hole. And then there's also, you see these crosshairs, and then here's this straight edge that leads to a 0, and it goes in both directions. And that's going to be where you're going to line up your base ray. So you want to line this up so that one of the rays is on the base and the other ray points into the arc of the protractor. So I'm going to take the crosshairs of my protractor and put it on my vertex. And then I want to line up this base ray down here. Make sure it's nice and lined up. And then you notice there's 2 rows of numbers. And so which row of numbers do you use, right? So the way you can tell is whichever side of the protractor that the base ray is pointing at, you're going to start on 0 on that side. So here to the left on my protractor, it's my ray's going to the left, right? So my top row is the one that starts at 0. So that's the row of numbers I'm going to follow. So if I come across the top here and I see that my other ray points to 120 degrees. So this angle here measures 120 degrees. And it doesn't matter which base ray you use, right? If you use this one, you're still going to get the same answer. This time my base is pointing to the right, so I'm going to start with my lower row of numbers. And when I follow that along, it also comes to 120. So this angle measures 120 degrees. So now, how do you use a protractor to draw an angle? Let's just go ahead and make a ray here. And let's say I want to draw an angle that measures 60 degrees. Okay, so here's my ray, and we're going to call this X, Y, and the other point will be Z, right? So I've made my ray already, and now I'm going to line up my vertex point again. Okay, and I am going to make sure everything's nice and lined up. And then this time, my ray is pointing to the right. So I want to start with the bottom row because that's where the 0 starts and follow it till I find 60. And then I'm going to follow that line up and mark my point. All right, mark my point and then line it up and draw my ray. And so here is Z, and let's see how I did. So I'm going to line this up again. And there it is. My angle measures 60 degrees. All right, so I want to try and show you how to copy an angle using a compass. So first thing I want to do is I want to set up for my new angle, my copy. So I'm just going to draw a ray down here. And we'll call this ABC. So my vertex will be B. And then the first thing, well, after we've drawn that ray, right, we want to take our compass. We want to open it up, you know, maybe, I don't know, about halfway here. I mean, it doesn't have to be anything specific, but I'm going to go ahead and open it up about this distance. This feels good to me. I'm going to put my point here in the vertex, and then I'm going to draw an arc so that it intersects both parts of my angle. Then without losing this shape, this distance, I'm going to come here and understanding that B is going to be my vertex, I'm going to poke into B and I'm going to intersect my ray, but I'm going to keep going around as much distance as I think I need so that I'll be able to account for the other ray. So this is good. Okay. And then so this point here, this is going to be A. Now, I need to find C, right? So the way I find C is I now need to adjust my compass so that it matches the distance between these 2 intersection points here. So I'm going to have to adjust here. Okay, this looks like it's about it, right? So now that it's matched, now I'm going to come down here to this point A. I'm going to put my point and I'm going to draw an arc so that it intersects the other arc. And if we did this right, this should be our new point here, C. to make our copy angle. So I'm going to line this up. Draw my angle, and then let's measure and see how we did. So this angle here measures 50 degrees, and let's see how our copy did. This angle here measures 50 degrees, or pretty close. I think I was a little off when I lined up my ruler, but you get the idea. So now let's talk about how to bisect an angle using a compass. So here's my angle here, ABC, and I want to bisect it, which means I want to cut the angle in half. So what do I want to do? I want to go ahead and, again, maybe extend this compass so that it's maybe more than halfway the distance on one of my rays. So I'm going to go ahead and do it this way. That's pretty good. And I'm going to poke into my vertex here, and then I want to draw an arc that goes all the way and intersects both rays. All right. So now, without losing this distance on my compass, I now want to go to each intersection point on the two rays of the angle and draw some arcs. Okay, so that's good enough there, like that. And then I'm going to switch to the other side. And I'm going to make this arc. So now, I'm not looking at this arc here, right? I'm looking at the last two arcs that I made, that intersection point where they intersect. Again, we're not worried about this first arc that we made. It's the last two that we made. We're going to take a straight edge. We're going to line up our vertex with that point. Again, the better job you do lining up the straight edge, the better this comes out. And there, well, I lost it at the end here, but it was enough. And then here, we should have bisected this angle into two equal parts, because cut it exactly in half. So let's go ahead and measure and see how we did. So now here, this original angle is 120 degrees. And take a look at this bottom angle down here is 60 degrees, which is half of 120. And this top angle here is also 60 degrees, which is half of 120. And that is how you bisect an angle with a compass.